In June 2026, a two-sentence post reorganized how the software world talks about AI. The message was simple: stop prompting your agents and start designing the loops that run them. The industry reaction was immediate. Within days, loop engineering was being treated like a sudden new skill to bolt onto a resume, another entry in a long parade of buzzwords. But that framing misses the cause. We don't adopt these methods because they are trendy. We adopt them because the underlying models change shape, making the old way of working impossible. This mapping shows two parallel ladders moving in lockstep. On the left is what the AI is at any given moment. On the right is the engineering discipline required to get value out of it. The engineering ladder is the shadow the technology casts. Every time the nature of the model shifts, from a predictor to a reasoner to an actor, the discipline is dragged up a rung. The first era belonged to the predictor. Because the models were effectively advanced next token simulators, we used prompt engineering to shape the input. You learned the model's grain and built templates to steer a single output toward a useful result. This era hit two walls. First, naive scaling began to yield diminishing returns. Second, a prompt optimizes one turn. The model retains nothing the moment the exchange ends. We tried to fix this through context engineering. Since we couldn't make the models smarter through scaling, we made them better grounded, giving them vector databases and larger windows to read your documents and code. But context is just a larger desk, not a memory. A model reasoning over a rich context is still only reasoning about the text in front of it, remaining passive and unable to act. It remains passive, unable to run a test or open a file it needs. Both eras shared a fatal limit. The session ends and everything you staged evaporated. The model that answered brilliantly at noon retains nothing at 1 o'clock. As long as the AI was just a passive predictor, no amount of grounding could force it to maintain continuity. Crossing that line required the model to become a different kind of thing. This transition was forced by two breakthroughs arriving close together. Reinforcement learning taught models to deliberate and self-check, while standardized protocols gave them direct access to external tools. This convergence birthed Agentic AI. The predictor became an actor that pursues goals over many steps. You do not prompt an agent that runs for 20 minutes calling tools. The moment the model became an actor, it forced the engineering discipline up to the next rung. That rung is harness engineering, the design of the shell an agent operates inside. We have seen the same small model go from 0 to 100% success on a planning task based solely on its harness. The capability was latent. The shell was what let it out. Yet, even with these capabilities, the continuity problem remained. A harness is built around a single session. When that session ends, the agent that spent an hour becoming an expert in your codebase begins the next hour a stranger to it. We gave the AI hands and a workspace, but we still hadn't solved the underlying amnesia. This leads to the current rung, the loop. If a harness makes an agent capable for one session, a loop runs that harness on a schedule, feeding it new goals and checking the results automatically. This comparison shows why loops work. A long session degrades as the window fills with dead ends. A loop functions by resetting the agent every iteration. Progress lives on disk rather than the conversation. The agent is reset, but files and commits remain. Look at all four rungs together: prompts, context, harnesses, and loops. Each one is a different way of routing around the same missing thing. The pathology of modern AI is that the agent does not persist. We have spent years building ever more elaborate machinery around a model that is brilliant for a moment and then forgets. Cause and effect tells us where the next rung has to be. We must move toward engineering persistence directly, treating the agent as something that accumulates value and stays with you tomorrow.